Christmas, everyone! Hey guys, it's Mel. Welcome to my channel. I know we've already had Christmas, but I'm refilming my Christmas Carol tag video that I actually uploaded on Christmas Day because it was horribly blurry and basically I didn't want to subject everyone to that any longer. So here's my Christmas Carol tag video again. I'm going to be reading these off my phone, so I'm probably going to be looking down at it quite a bit. Apologies. So, question number 1. The Ghost of Christmas Past. A book that was a childhood favourite. For this one, I'm going to go with The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. The Chronicles of Narnia were favourites of our whole family when I was a young girl. My parents read them to me when I was 3 and 4, and then again when my sister was around 3 and 4. And I read the series at least 3 times when I was young, and also again when I was a teenager. My 2 favourite of the series is of course The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and also The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Question 2 is The Ghost of Christmas Present. A recent book that you think will become one of your all-time favourites. For that, I'm going with Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I talk about this book quite a bit more in my September wrap-up, which I will link below, and also my top 5 of 2019 video, which will be going out in a couple of days. So keep an eye out for that one. But basically, I loved Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. And I was really surprised to have loved it as much as I did. I wasn't expecting to like it that much, and I think it was fantastic. So that's my answer. Question 3. The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. A book coming out next year that you're most excited about. Most people who've been watching me for a while now will realise that I'm not really much up to date with books that are coming out. So that was a bit of a tricky question for me, but I've decided to go with the newest book by Gail Honeyman. I have heard that it's going to be coming out in 2020, and based on the fact that Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine was such a winner for me, I think that anything she writes I'm going to enjoy. So I'm really excited about that one. Question 4. Bah Humbug. A book that everyone loves that you just can't stand. That is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I really don't get the appeal of this book. I thought there was a lot of exposition and not a lot of actual plot. The characters weren't particularly well fleshed out, and although it is about crazy rich Asians, that really was the sum total of the book, and I don't think that a book should be the sum total of its title. There were some elements that were kind of fun, but they felt kind of like script notes, so I think it worked better as a film, although I kind of think the film was let down by its main actors. I just didn't enjoy either the book or the film, and I really don't get it, to be honest. Question 5. Bob Cratchit. An old dependable that you always recommend. This really depends on who I'm recommending it to. I've got a few that I always recommend. If I know that the person really enjoys mysteries, then I always recommend The Beekeeper's Apprentice by Laurie R. King. This is the first in the Mary Russell series, and I think that it's fantastic. I love Laurie R. King's writing, and I love Mary Russell. I think that she's a strong, independent, fantastic woman who is finding her own way in a Victorian era that basically wants her to sit down and shut up. And I just love her. If I know the person is a fan of fantasy, particularly high fantasy, I always recommend The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I think that Robin Hobb is an amazing, amazing fantasy author. Her books are so well written and so well structured. All of the characters have an important role to play. Everything that happens builds into the story and the world building. Just think they're beautiful. If you are a fan of George R.R. Martin, I think you'd really like Robin Hobb. If the person likes magical realism or more contemporary sort of things, then I would either suggest Leanne Moriarty or Joanne Harris, 2 authors that I absolutely adore. Question 6. Tiny Tim. An underhyped book that you think deserves more love. This is another really hard one for me. I feel like I read books that aren't necessarily very hyped and certainly not popular at the time. So there's probably quite a few that I would say are really fantastic that I haven't heard many people talking about, certainly not on BookTube of recent days anyway. I think I'm going to go not with a book but with an author, and that author is Joanne Harris. I love Joanne Harris's writing. I think she writes beautiful lyrical prose that are almost more like a script, but it works really well as a novel anyway. Probably her most famous work is Chocolat, and it was pretty famous when the movie came out way back in the early 90s, 2000s I should say. But I haven't heard many people talk about her recently, so I'm going to go with Joanne Harris. Question 7. Today? Why? It's Christmas Day. Obviously it's not, but it was when I first uploaded this. What's a book that always gets you in the mood for Christmas? Apart from A Christmas Carol. For this one, I'm going to go with The Lord of the Rings, which I realise isn't very Christmassy at all, but The Lord of the Rings was another series that I read when I was a very young child, and reread a lot when I was a child, and then reread myself as I got older and more into reading longer books. And then, since the movies started coming out, it became a family tradition to go on Boxing Day or thereabouts and watch the movies as they came out on Boxing Day. The same goes for The Hobbit as well. So, that whole world, really. Question 8. The Muppet Christmas Carol. Your favourite film adaptation of a book? This is a really hard one for me. I actually really like a lot of adaptations of books, and in fact that was the inspiration behind my creating my book club, the Book into Film Club, because what I would always find was when I thought to myself, this is a great movie, I love it, 99% of the time it was actually a book originally. So I thought, let's do that. Let's read books and then watch the adaptation, or one of the adaptations. So I'm actually finding this one really hard. The one that springs to mind is Chocolat by Joanne Harris. It's just such a lovely film and a lovely book, and they go together really well. Obviously there were some changes when the book was adapted into the movie, but not so much that it takes away from the story in any way. So that's the one I'm choosing. Question 9 is Tag Some People. Well, I'm not really going to do that because I figure that if anyone wanted to do the Christmas Carol tag, they probably would have done so by now. But if you haven't and you do really want to, consider yourself tagged. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please comment below and let me know your answers to the questions, what you thought of my answers to the questions, and generally how Christmas was for you. If you liked my video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.